Joined now on the broadcast behind the mic by Joey Battiano, the voice of the Saginaw Spirit. Joey, will start off. What is the team looking like this year? What are the expectations coming off a year missing the playoffs?
I think that this is really the first year of a full rebuild for the Spirit, and unfortunately, most teams have the luxury of saying, well, they had a deep playoff run going into their full rebuild, but just based upon where the team was over the past couple of years with players aging out and the like, turns out that this is a year for a full rebuild. And quite honestly, expectations still remain relatively high. I think expectations are higher than they were last year based upon the players that are here. Our first-round picks the last 2 years have reported Blade Jenkins and Nicholas Porco. And so having them a part of the full-time roster is certainly going to help. And we're young. We're the youngest team in the OHL. So with that, obviously, not a lot of experience. So at the end of the day, it's going to be a learning experience and a process for sure for the hockey team. And just look forward to seeing some of the skill that's on this team, and the future certainly is bright.
And not specific to Saginaw, but you talked there about getting draft picks to report, because that's something that QMJHL fans talk about, and they think might be exclusive to the Q, but you see that in all the leagues. How much is that a concern, particularly in your area, about getting top guys to report and making sure the league stays even?
I don't look at it as a concern, but certainly a team like Saginaw has to go to work on their prospects. A team like Saginaw would have to go to work on their prospects a little bit more than a team like London or Kitchener. So that being said, I thought it was huge to get Nick Porco and Blade Jenkins to report, especially Jenkins, who is an American-born. He's from Michigan, and he was committed to going to the University of Michigan. So getting an American-born player who's from Michigan to decommit from a program like that to come play for the Spirit, I thought was a really huge feather in our cap. And moving forward, I think is going to set the tone, and I think it already has set the tone, because word gets out to Michigan kids that are playing minor hockey in the state of Michigan that are from here, whether they're American or Canadian, that a player like Blake Jenkins chose the Saginaw Spirit over the NCAA route. That certainly helps.
Speaking of drafts, you have a few players NHL drafted. You can touch on those in particular. Interested in Keaton Middleton, because they have a lot of Leafs fans in this part of the world.
Keaton, again, had a really strong camp with Toronto. Unfortunately, got a little bit banged up there toward the end, so we're without the services of Keaton for now, and he's still with the Maple Leafs seeking some treatment for some injuries he sustained in their rookie tournament. But I think the world of Keaton Middleton. He's our captain, and he's just a great leader on and off the ice. I'm really looking forward to what he brings to the table this year. He's coming off most offensive year of his career, and that's not really his game for the folks who've ever seen Keaton. He goes about 6'6", 215, big kid, physical. So to see him contribute offensively last year was huge, and he got off to a good start. He played in a preseason game of ours and I believe scored a goal. So he's looking forward to contributing offensively as well, and just a real good team guy. And a couple other NHL guys, Evan Cormier returning from New Jersey as an overager. That's probably adding about 10 wins to our season right there, just having Evan Cormier back as our goaltender this year. And then Brady Gilmour, obviously a late-round pick of the Red Wings. These are three guys on this young team averaging 17 years and 2 months. These are guys that we're really going to be leaning on this year to produce.
Last, I wanted to ask, as you just talked about, an American team in a primarily Canadian league, and unlike the WHL where all the U.S. teams are grouped in, the division's kind of a hodgepodge between Canadian and U.S. teams. Given that, who would be the big rivals for the Spirit traditionally?
Right now, our main rivals, the Flint Firebirds, based on proximity. They're about 35 miles away. Technically, the OHL was not going to allow Plymouth to move to Flint, but Saginaw actually okayed that relocation because of the proximity, because of the rivalry. The two teams share a media market. It gets pretty intense, and what we've seen over the last 2 years is that rivalry building again. That all started in the mid-'70s with professional hockey that was in both cities, Saginaw and Flint. So we're kind of rebuilding that rivalry. But you're seeing two teams right now that are on the come-up at the same time, speaking of Saginaw and Flint. So I think here in the next couple of years, when these two teams are near the top of the West Division in the OHL, I think that's when you're really going to see this rivalry take shape. And I think everyone in the Canadian Hockey League is going to be watching these two teams as quite a rivalry. And I think that's good to have two American teams battling like that.
Rivalry's the lifeblood of junior hockey for sure. Well, Joey, thanks for telling us all about it. Best of luck to you in the Spirit this season.
Much appreciated. Anytime.
That's Joey Battiano. He's the voice of the Saginaw Spirit of the OHL. You're listening to Carstar, Cape Breton Scream Eagles Hockey, 1270 CJCB.